Charles Darwin was just 22 years old, he got the opportunity to sail on the HMS Beagle on a 5-year journey around the world. In 1835, the ship stopped at the Galápagos Islands, and that's where everything changed for him. Darwin started noticing that animals on different islands looked similar but had small differences, especially the finches, whose beaks were shaped differently depending on what they ate. He realized these differences weren't random. They helped the animals survive in their specific environments. That observation led him to question the common belief that species never change. Over time, he developed the idea of natural selection, which later became the foundation of his famous book on the origin of species. His trip to the Galapagos ended up shaping one of the most important scientific theories in history, evolution. When Charles Darwin studied finches in the Galápagos Islands, he noticed that some finches had large, thick beaks, while others had small, narrow ones. During dry years, when soft foods were scarce and mostly hard seeds were available, finches with thicker beaks could crack those seeds more easily. They were more likely to survive the food shortage and reproduce, passing the thick beak trait to their offspring. Over time, the population on that island became dominated by birds with stronger beaks. On other islands where insects were more common, finches with thinner, sharper beaks were better at catching them, so those traits became more common instead. Another example involves the giant tortoises. On islands where food grew low to the ground, tortoises with dome-shaped shells and shorter necks could easily graze. But on islands where plants were taller, tortoises with slightly longer necks and saddle-shaped shells could stretch higher to reach food. Those individuals were more likely to survive and reproduce in that environment, gradually changing the overall traits of the population. Over many generations, these small differences added up, and the populations became so distinct that they were considered separate species. Charles Darwin also studied marine iguanas in the Galápagos Islands and noticed very specific adaptations that helped them survive. Marine iguanas feed almost entirely on algae growing on rocks in the ocean. To do this, they evolved flattened tails that function like paddles, allowing them to swim efficiently. They also have long, sharp claws that help them grip slippery rocks, while strong waves crash around them. After swimming in the cold Pacific waters, they bask on dark volcanic rocks. Their dark skin absorbs heat from the sun, helping them raise their body temperature quickly. Another important adaptation is their ability to expel excess salt through specialized nasal glands. They sneeze out salt after feeding in seawater. As the trait became more common over generations, the genetic makeup of the entire population changed, which is what we mean by evolution. These examples show how natural selection doesn't just affect individual animals, it shapes whole populations over time. By favoring traits that help organisms survive and reproduce, environments gradually mold the species living there. That's how populations evolve, slowly but surely, adapting to the challenges of their world. Darwin's observations in the Galapagos not only revealed this process in action, but also laid the foundation for our modern understanding of evolution, showing that life is always changing and responding to the world around it. And as Darwin himself said, from so simple a beginning, endless forms, most beautiful and most wonderful, have been and are being evolved.